The church van came in today and they got just a slight noise coming from the front suspension. So I've elevated the vehicle and we're going to shake it down. Let me grab this left front tire. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Greetings, Car Doctor channel viewers. This is the Car Doctor coming to you live from the Car Doctor studios here in the last frontier of auto repair, Anchorage, Alaska. Hey, I got a quick tip today for doing upper and lower ball joints on Chevy and GMC vans. This one happens to be a year model 2000 GMC Savana. So it's the G3500 two-wheel drive van. This has the coil spring type front suspension, and it came in with very bad upper and lower ball joints on both sides, and we're going to square that away. Hey, I've got a great drive-on rack with rolling jacks, which I've supported the lower control arms on the front of this, and it's already up in the air. But I want to encourage you to use safe lifting practices whenever doing front end repairs like this. You're going to be jostling things around and beating on it, and you don't want it to land on your pinky toe or somewhere else and have an impromptu sex change operation that you didn't really want to get. So let's be careful and let's do it safe. I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks, and we're going to knock this puppy out. I'll be focusing on the left front. I'll finish up with the right front and of course an alignment afterwards, but this video is just going to showcase the procedure for doing the left front upper and lower ball joints. And we're going to get started first by removing the tire and the hubcap assembly. This one's missing a few of the little hubcap retainers. Only got 3 left, so remove those and remove the lug nuts. Okay, now I'm going to remove the caliper and hang it off to the side by using an air ratchet and a 3/8 hex driver. And then I'm going to just insert a screwdriver in the vanes of the rotor and compress that caliper a little bit so that I can pop it off of this rotor. Okay, now I've got a little wire deal to hang the caliper back over here out of the way. You want to be sure you don't let it just hang or dangle or drop on the rubber brake hose, because that'll damage that hose. It'll crack it or fatigue it, and then when you really need your brakes, which is when a moose jumps out front of your truck, they won't just go to the floor and leave you with a set of antlers in your lap. So we're going to support that off that side, and I'm going to disconnect the ABS wire. There's a wire connector back down here and a couple bolts to secure the ABS wiring harness so that I can pull that back out of the way. And then when we remove the knuckle assembly with the rotor and bearing hub attached, I'm just going to leave the bearing and hub assembly on there. It's a little heavy, but it's going to save me a little bit of time. So anyway, reach in here and disconnect the electrical connector on the ABS wiring, if I can find it. I see it's hidden. got it unhooked. Hooking it back up is not going to be easy. Remove this bolt securing the ABS harness. That way that part of the harness can hang loose. Look at this ball joint. That's fried. All right, I'm going to remove this bolt. It's actually securing the upper ball joint, but also securing the brake line mount and the ABS wiring. That's going to require using a 13mm wrench and socket. Like so. And we'll take those loose. Okay. Now I'm going to remove the cotter pins from the ball joint nuts. I don't care much about saving the cotter pins or anything like that. They'll be replaced. But I just want to get them out of there. And as a matter of fact, during removal, I don't really even have to take the cotter pins out. I just have to get enough clearance to allow them to get a socket on there, impacting bad boys out of there. So in this case, I'm going to use a 1/1/16 impact deep with the impact wobbly and a short extension to reach down in and remove the upper and lower ball joint retaining nuts. Okay, got these giant rivets that retain the upper ball joint to the control arm on factory ball joints, and those have to be removed in order to replace the ball joint. The replacement ball joint will come with 4 new bolts to put in place of these. However, we're going to need to get these out. 3 of them need to be removed. The other one was that bolt in this position that held the brake line and ABS wiring harness retainer. So I've removed that, but I've still got to get these 3 big rivets out of here. And the way I do it is I use this nice air hammer and a chisel, and I just chisel them out. I chisel the tops off real quick, and then I just kind of bust the lower part loose, and it'll suck it out of there. You do have the option of you can grind these off and you can drill them out. That's the way the book is going to show you how to do it. But this saves me a little bit of time, and it's pretty quick this way. Drilling them out is just labor intensive, just takes some time. Be sure to use proper ear protection when using one of these, and eye protection whether you're drilling or using an impact. So if you were going to drill it out, I would just center punch each of these, the face of these rivets, and then drill straight down through it. Looks like with like a 1/4-inch drill. Maybe it's 5/16. 5/16, yeah. That's what I'm going with. But in this case, I'm just gonna There we go. You won't get this done with a cheesy little wimpy air hammer. This is a long throw, pretty skookum air chisel, and it's going to take something like that to bust them off there like that. So that's a pretty slick way of doing it. Makes it real quick and hassle free. Look at that. Wasted. But you can see now the upper arm's ready to accept those new ones. But I've got to get this off of the knuckle, and I'm going to do that by using a sledgehammer. I just whack it a few times here. You wouldn't want to put your finger there. Be careful. Okay. Carefully set that down. Now we just need to get the lower ball joint off. And you can use your ball joint press for that, or you can take out some of your aggression. It's your choice. We all have choices. Life is full of choices. My choice is that. That's ready to accept the new ball joint. That's ready to accept the new ball joint. Let's go get our new ball joints. Using a Raybestos product. I stay away from the Napa Crappa Master Ride Garbo. I'd stay away from the red box stuff. Even the CarQuest red box. Prefer Moog, and just didn't have a Moog availability today. So this is what we're using. And here's the new lower joint. And we're going to install it by using a OTC ball joint press. And the receiving collar for the top, which will allow the ball joint to come press up in the arm, and it has space to allow the stud to come up through that. And then on the bottom we have a little driver socket for the bottom of the press assembly to press it up in there. It doesn't press in the middle here, or it would damage the joint itself. It presses on the lower portion of the body. And I'm just going to stick that in there. And that like that. So I'm going to use a 1/2-inch drive long handled flex head ratchet. You can get that driven up in there. You can see, watch it here, getting pressed all the way up until it's seated. You use a cheater bar to help. about half an inch. Alright, back this off and remove my tool. Okay, so comes with a boot that now needs to be inserted over the ball joint, and you want to index this notch to the back side towards the engine, and that'll keep, when you grease it, keep grease from coming out onto your brake rotors. Seat that boot down over the body of the joint. Okay, now I'm going to insert the grease zerk in the bottom of the lower ball joint and tighten it up a little. All right, so go ahead and put the 3 bolts in the upper ball joint and leave the one out that's necessary for the bracketry. In this application, I'm going to go up from the bottom, and the joint goes on the bottom side of the control arm like that, and put my nut on. I'll just put the 4th one in just so I don't lose it. Okay, and then we torque each of these to 18 foot-pounds. I'll install my grease zerk. Okay, one tip is you want to make sure that this brake hose is routed, in this case, on the inside of the knuckle assembly. If you were to have this caliper over here, for instance, and stick the knuckle back on, then you're going to have problems getting the caliper back on because it's going to be on the outside. In this particular case, the brake hose goes on the inside of the knuckle assembly. So now I'm going to reinstall the knuckle by first putting it over the lower ball joint stud. and then we'll pop it through the upper. And put our nuts on there. I'm going to run the nuts down just a little bit with an impact. I'm not going to get them tight. We need to torque this. You don't want to run it down with an impact or you'll have steering issues afterwards. We don't want that. So I'm going to put my socket with the wobbly back on and just run them down a little bit just to get them snugged up. Now torque the lower ball joint nut to 94 foot-pounds. And torque the upper ball joint stud to 74 foot-pounds. Now tighten the ball joint nuts just enough to get the cotter pin hole to align with the castellated nut to insert your cotter pin. Now insert your cotter pin and bend it over slightly to secure it. Okay, I'm going to reattach the final of the 4 ball joint bolts, the one that secures the ABS wiring as well as the brake hose. Now I'm going to put a little silicone brake parts lubricant along the steering knuckle where the caliper and the steering knuckle surfaces meet and make contact. Now I'm going to reinstall my caliper and torque it properly. Before I'm going to lube the upper and lower ball joints with a grease gun. Now I need to resecure the ABS wiring and the mounting tab that supports the wiring harness. All right, well, that's about it. I'm gonna, of course, reinstall the wheel and properly torque the wheel nuts. And then I'm gonna perform a front end alignment on this. I don't suspect that we're gonna be off as far as caster and camber, but I'll probably have to do a little toe adjustment. I went ahead and lubed up the tie rod adjusting sleeve while I was in there, put a little penetrant on there, so that's soaking while we're finishing up these repairs. And we'll get the John Bean visual liner on it and get this thing towed in and back on the road. So that's a pretty quick fix. Imagine this side probably under 40 minutes in total. And if you got the right tools and equipment, it's going to be pretty easy, and you'll be able to safely do this job and save yourself a few bucks. All right, well, hey, I appreciate you watching my videos. Thanks for the likes and subscriptions to my channel, and I wish you good luck with your repairs. Have a good one.